pharmaceutical companies have taken a financial blow with nationwide shutdowns. Now, this is where doctors are not prescribing medications as much. Now, the offset that is in the decline is the revenue. Drug companies raised the prices on more than 500 drugs. Now, President Joe Biden wants to ensure increasing drug costs do not force people to make the difficult decision between medication and other needs. And we want to play a soundbite from President Joe Biden talking about that.
For years, the price of many prescription drugs has dramatically outpaced inflation. These prices have put the squeeze on too many families and stripped them of their dignity. We forced people into terrible choices between maintaining their health, paying the rent or the mortgage, putting food on the table. I mean, literally. And that's the case for a lot of working families and seniors, even if you can get the care you need. But today, working families and too many seniors are struggling to make it work. Today, 1 in 4 Americans who take prescription drugs struggle to afford them. Nearly 30% have skipped doses, cut pills in half, or because they can't afford the cost. We have to change this, and we can. My administration has already taken significant steps to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Last month, I signed an executive order that has the effect of improving competition in the economy, which will result in lower prescription drug costs.
Now, folks, here's a look at Biden's plan. It will allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Now, Medicare negotiators will provide a framework for what constitutes a fair price for each drug. It will make other needed reforms to lower prices. Now, it's possible drug companies that raise their prices faster than inflation may have to pay a penalty. Now, it would build on existing progress and work on importing safe, lower cost prescription drugs from Canada and accelerating to the development and uptake of generic and biosimilar drugs that give patients the same clinical benefit, but at a fraction at the price. Now, Biden hopes the reform will lower premiums and copays for millions of Americans. Now, drop insulin and arthritis medication prices by hundreds of dollars, or hundreds of thousand dollars, or hundreds of dollars on average, Now, drop the price of the most expensive drugs by tens of thousands of dollars per year. Now, save cancer patients at least $9,000 a year of their out-of-pocket costs, and save Medicare beneficiaries, that would be about $200. Now, joining us live is Elliot Fisherman, the Senior Director of Health Policy Families USA. Thank you so much for joining us. Would you mind, we talked about this plan and how this would affect the everyday American. Some folks have to, are forced with choosing between buying their prescriptions and putting food on the table.
It's really shocking in a country with the resources that we have that happens every day. And as you described, it's not to a small number of Americans, right? It's about 1 in 3 Americans can't fill prescriptions that they get. And that either means that they are cutting back on other necessities, or they are splitting pills. They're not filling those prescriptions at all. They are substituting them with something that they try to find on the internet. And that starts with the fact that we are the only country that does not negotiate as a country on the price of drugs. We're the only country that is paying sticker price. And drug companies, as you described, Anisha, they're taking advantage. And it gets worse every year. That those 500 drugs that prices were increased this year during the heat of a pandemic, that's the most drug price increases that we've ever had. So the problem's getting worse and worse. It's affecting more and more people.
Right, Elliot. It seems like the drug prices went faster or increased faster than the rates of inflation. A lot of people, again, and especially in the Black community, I mean, they are suffering from hypertension and need medications such as insulin for diabetes. what type of position would this put folks in if they could negotiate their prices of their medication? And I read in that plan that this would also allow protection for individuals who are insured and not on Medicaid, and would allow those insurance companies to negotiate as well.
That's a really important aspect of it. So it's really three major components. One is to negotiate the prices of drugs upfront when they're released. Then the second is to control price increases later on. You know, insulin's been around a long time. Insulin's been around for 100 years. Synthetic insulin has been around for almost 40 years. So if you're seeing increases on that drug, it's not because there's some new research on it, there's some new development cost, it's just pure price gouging. So controlling those inflationary increases and then making that available not just to seniors who are on Medicare, but to every American. Those are our three major components, and they're part of the Biden plan that Congress is now considering and that Congress needs to act on.
Nolly, I want to ask you a question really quickly, because we mentioned how this covers, or this affects all Americans. And we've seen with President Biden and his administration how he wants to please folks on the left and also please folks on the right. Do you think that this is possibly a way to do that?
It should be. I mean, this has massive, not just Democratic support from voters, but support from Republicans. 90% support. This is you can't get 90% of Americans to support hardly anything, and yet just the problem is so blatant, right? I mean, we talked about insulin. It's just a basic drug. This is not some new, massively innovated drug, and we have people who risk their health to skip doses because they can't afford it. It's just such a glaring, unacceptable problem that it certainly is something that should unify Democrats. And really, I think the risk to Democrats is that if they don't act on this, that Republicans will campaign on it. In other words, this is such an appealing issue across the aisle that this is one issue where you could see Republicans going after Democrats for not fixing it.
I want to take this time again to just bring in our panelists really quickly, but I want Brittany to comment on this as one of our political analysts, just to ask you a question, Elliot, that is related to this.
Yeah, so I guess my question is really around this notion of modifying healthcare. Do you think, considering the way in which many of these companies aren't actually using their profit towards research and development, but towards buying back their own stock, inflating their worth, giving up CEO salaries and compensation, if this is really just another moment for us to look at no longer commodifying healthcare, since so many of these drugs make the difference between life and death, really?
Brittany, I think it's a really important point. And certainly it is true that this is a more extreme form of pathologies that are more broadly true of our healthcare system, but it really is more extreme. Like I do think it is possible to tackle the prescription drug issue without taking on the broader issue with how we pay for healthcare. And politically, I think that's the right move. In other words, that it was not always clear that the Biden administration was going to go after this issue. And I think they decided they found a path forward which can get through a very narrowly divided Congress to take on the prescription drug issue, which is, in prescription drugs, you have legal monopolies. Right, that's part of the way that our prescription drug system works. So it's just these companies have us over a barrel, and they gouge in a way that the rest of our healthcare system is bad, but this is worse.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, Elliot. Just again, one of my last questions I want to just ask you before we move on to the next, and it just popped up in my head, is what can people do in the meantime as they're waiting for this to move forward?
Well, certainly people can find out if their provider has anything available for people who can't afford prescription drugs. Some hospitals or health systems may have programs available to help people afford those costs. Certainly people should ask if there are generics or biosimilars available, and those may be less expensive. But really the most important thing that I would ask for people to do is this is up to Congress now, and we have a window to act on this that we haven't had in a long time and may not have for a long time. Like, this is the time. So people need to get active politically.
Folks, back to our Roland Unfiltered video in just one moment. Seek.com, we're partnering with them, of course. We appreciate their support right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Check out a couple of their products that you can take advantage of.
And you're watching us on Seek. What's going on? This Quavo Huncho. Right now you in the Huncho's world. Please let the music play.
Enjoy the Seek.com video by using one of their virtual reality headsets. All you do is just pop your phone right here into the VR headset and enjoy the content. You can also take advantage of their 360-degree headphones. These headphones here come in a couple of colors, black and gold, but then also all gold. And so you can check these out. If you want to use our promo code to get a discount, it's RMVIP21, RMVIP21. Then, of course, a portion of the proceeds comes back to Roland Martin Unfiltered, which allows for us to fund the show. And so this is a black-owned company, and we certainly believe in supporting black-owned companies. Mary Spiel is the founder. And so, again, go to Seek.com and use the promo code RMVIP21.